Hello, everyone. Welcome to Marketing. My name is Monica Rawal, and I will be discussing some basic concepts of marketing with you all using these videos. So, we'll start with what is marketing. So, before we go into the definition of marketing, we're just going to talk about the basic idea of marketing that everybody has in their mind. Marketing is a concept that um, that's not alien to everyone. Everybody already has some idea of what this is about, and that's what we're going to talk about here. So, some people think of marketing as a science because we use numbers, we analyze data, um, and we use data to basically come up with the marketing concepts or marketing campaigns. And some people look at marketing as art, as an art because there's creativity involved, there's music involved, there are pictures involved in advertisements, for example. There's a lot of art, a lot of creativity that's involved in marketing. What is marketing? Is it science or art? It is basically a combination of both. It does need data as well as creativity, as well as art to reflect on that data or to make that data to use and to apply the concepts. Um, why do we want to do that? Because the thing that you see on the right hand side, value, because we want to provide value to our customers. And there's the concept of value can be different for different people, and we're going to discuss about that in a minute. So at this point, we've established that marketing is a combination of science and art so that we can provide value to the customers. So marketing is an organizational function, just like any other topic or any other department, as we call them, in an organization. For example, in this circle in the middle that you see management in the middle, and management of what? And there are multiple departments here. So we can start with finance, we have a manufacturing department, we have R&D, we have human resources, we have information systems, and here we have marketing. So marketing is an organizational function that where the organization is surrounded by society. Society is made up of other organizations, the competitors that we have. It's made up of suppliers that supply goods to us. It's made up of shareholders, the owners, and it's made up of customers. So all of these, as you can see, have an impact on our organization, and our organization has an impact on all of these. And then at the bottom, you see environmental forces. We're also going to discuss about these in a minute. So we have 5 basic environmental forces: social, economic, technological, competitive, and regulatory. All these 5 have an impact on our organization. And again, our organization in turn has an impact on these 5 environmental forces. Again, as I said, we're going to discuss these in a minute. So again, before we go into the definition, I wanted to show you uh, that there is something or somebody called marketunist. Like cartoonist, there is also marketunist who basically makes cartoons specific to marketing. And that's what I wanted to bring here in front of you, some marketunist ideas or some cartoons or marketoons, whatever you want to call it, that have been created for the concept of marketing. So the first one here says, our scientists say it would be a public health hazard, but market research shows it would sell like hotcakes. What do you think? So, these are some concepts that people already have in mind that sometimes create negativity in people's minds about marketing. And then, for example, another one here says, this is the next big thing in marketing, according to something I read that someone wrote on Twitter and some other people retweeted. So basically, showing that there's no data behind it. It's just some people tweeting and retweeting about it. Um, that we came up with this marketing idea. We made the box larger, the content smaller, increased the price, and called it improved. Have we overlooked anything? Again, an idea of marketing that's being shown here. Well, I'm not very satisfied with our customers either because there's a customer satisfaction report here. The graph is going down. And, again, a marketing team discussing about how they are also not satisfied with their customers. So all of these, I feel, give you an idea of how there's kind of a negative notion about marketing amongst people. And that's what we want to um, clarify here today. We want to see that how um, marketing is not always negative is what I can say about it at this point. Okay, let's look at a few examples of how or why marketing is important and how some products have failed uh, because of not following the marketing concept. So the first one here is that I'm going to show you is Barnes and Noble Nook. If you know about this, this was introduced to give competition to the digital or the e-books that were coming in market. Barnes and Noble thought that they have to come up with something too, because in order to compete with the market or be in the market, because everything was going digital. So they introduced this product called Nook, where um, you could read books online or have an electronic version of books. It did not work. It failed. If you think about this, if you think about Barnes and Noble, it's a very big brand, um, and everybody thinks of Barnes and Noble as a hardcover bookstore, not an electronic company. So it didn't settle well in consumers' minds when they saw an electronic product coming from Barnes and Noble. So it failed miserably. So they had to discontinue this because, again, the marketing idea wasn't implemented well in this case. So what is that they did wrong here is what is that they did right here is that the idea of, yes, they have to stay in the market, it's all going electronic, we should still be there. That was a good thought process. But what they did wrong here was that they used their existing very famous brand name Barnes and Noble with the electronic product that they came up with. So they could have just invented a sub brand and they could have just not linked Barnes and Noble and Nook together, and they could have just created this brand and just separated it from their very well-known Barnes and Noble hardcover book store brand, which is what they did wrong here. Okay, another example. Volkswagen Phaeton was a car that was introduced um, to compete. It was introduced in the luxury segment, and their idea was to compete with BMWs, Mercedes, and all those brands in the luxury brands. And of course, this failed because if you think about Volkswagen, the brand, it is um, it is not a luxury brand. Nobody is going to accept a Volkswagen brand as a luxury brand, and they're not going to link luxury and Volkswagen together. They're not going to spend a huge amount of money on a car that has Volkswagen as a brand name attached to it. Volkswagen actually literally means people's car in German. So if you're saying it's people's car, which means it's for masses, you can't make it a luxury brand name. So it failed. And again, the same problem like Barnes and Noble. It didn't fit well in consumers' minds that Volkswagen can be attached to luxury, like Barnes and Nobles couldn't be attached to electronic product. So it failed. What could they have done if they would have introduced this car again as a separate brand, like Toyota does it? Toyota has all these Camry, Corolla, and all of those brand names that are linked with Toyota. So Toyota Corolla, Toyota Camry, and all of that. But they have Lexus that they haven't linked with Toyota. Even though it's a Toyota brand, they never say Toyota Lexus. So that's how they made a difference and said, okay, we're introducing ourselves in the luxury market, but we are not going to attach our parent name with this brand. And that's something that Volkswagen could have done, which they, of course, didn't, and that's why they failed. All right, so now coming to the AMA definition of marketing, the American Marketing Association definition of marketing. Marketing, as it says, is an organizational function. We talked about that it's an organizational function out of all the functions that there were, or all the departments that there were. Marketing is one of them. It's an organizational function and a set of processes for creating, communicating, delivering value. So we talked about value again. We're going to talk about this in detail to customers for managing customer relationships in ways that benefit the organization and its stakeholders. So, of course, it has to benefit, and we're going to come back to these underlined, bolded words, but I'm going to just cover everything else first. So, it's an organizational function. We already talked about that. It has to benefit, marketing has to benefit the organization and its stakeholders. It, of course, has to. If it's not benefiting the organization, then there's no point of this department. Think about your own business. You're not going to spend on marketing if it's not giving back to you, right? If it's not benefiting your organization. We're not going to say that it's not benefiting me, it's a loss for me, but I'm still going to provide value to the customers. That's not how businesses work. So it has to benefit the organization and its stakeholders. Now, it's a set of processes. So there's a set of processes that we follow so that we can provide value to the customers. Okay. And when we say value, as I had said before, value can be different for different people. So we need to make sure that we are providing value to these different people who define value differently. So think about this. Let's say if you want to purchase an office bag, okay, it can be a purse for ladies, it can be a backpack for ladies or for men or for women. It can be a laptop bag or whatever you want to think about. So you want to buy an office bag, okay, whatever it is in your mind. That's what we want to buy. Think about that. Now, they can be a customer, and that can be one of you, who wants to buy a bag that's inexpensive. Okay. That's you want to spend the least amount of money so that you can just put your laptop in there and then go to office, keep your bag there, come back, and do whatever you spend your money on, whatever else you want to spend. Okay. So that's value to you. There can be another set of customers, again, that can be one of you, who wants to buy a specific brand bag, can be as big as, I don't know, Louis Vuitton, or it can be a Versace, it can be a Victoria's Secret, whatever brand you relate to. So you buy that for the brand name more than for just the benefit it's giving you. But that's value to you. Value to you is buying a brand name. Okay, whatever brand name that is. But that's what value is to you. There can be another set of customers that wants to buy a bag that does not just fit their laptop in it, but it fits their laptop plus all of their papers in it, plus it should also fit their gym clothes in it, plus it should also fit all of the stuff that they carry with themselves in it, and so on. So if the bag doesn't fit all of that they want to fit in it, that's not value to them. So they're going to keep looking for a bag until they find whatever they want to find in that bag. And that's value to them. So value can be different for different people. And part of marketing is to create that value for customers. So create those different products so that we can satisfy everybody's value, every customer's value. Okay. So it's creating, once you have created that value, of course, you have to communicate it with the customers because only then they're going to know what you have created. So you're going to create the value, communicate it to the customers, and then deliver value. So delivering is also um, it's also a part of marketing because that's also um, it also depends on the value can also be defined by the way business delivers its products to people. So for example, you can go to Walmart and buy products from them. So they're delivering it through the stores, or like purchase products going inside and shopping by on your own, or you can get it delivered to your house, or you can go there, stand there in the whatever parking lot it is, pick up parking lot, pick up parking lot, and then you can get them put those products in your car, the trunk of your car, and that's value to you. So delivering the way a company delivers their products also has some kind of value in it, and every customer has a different definition for what they call value for delivering. So delivering is also a part of marketing where we're supposed to provide value to customers. And then moving on in the definition, it says, and for managing customer relationships. So this has been added over the years in this marketing definition about managing customer relationships when we realized that it's important to sell a product, yes, but we don't want to stop there. We want to maintain our relationships with our customers post sales as well. And we realized that there's a there's a huge benefit for the company as well as the customers. In fact, indirectly it goes back to the customers, but there's a huge benefit in keeping our customers, in keeping or in having repeat customers than just attracting the new ones. So we've realized that it's very important to have a customer relationship and then manage them. It benefits the company, of course, because if you have repeat customers, you obviously keep making money. It also benefits the customers because now the company is trying to maintain a relationship with you. So they are not going to betray you. They're going to make sure that you're happy with them so that you come back to them. So the customers also win in this situation. So that's the definition of marketing. So now, as we had talked about customer value before, if we look at this example, this was the very first cell phone. You can see the first cell phone call made on April 3rd, 1973. This was the very first cell phone that was made by Motorola. And it was, you can see in the picture, it was a big brick phone. It was the size of a brick. It weighed a lot. Um, and of course, it is nowhere in comparison to the cell phones that we have now. It had a big antenna on top of it. It was huge. Um, but it at that time it costed $4,000, and we're talking about the time it was 1973, um, wherein $4,000 had more value than it has now. But it was available for $4,000. People used to buy it. Not everybody, of course. It wasn't meant for everybody, but people still used to buy it because they found value in it. Because at that time, the value, the definition of value for those people who did buy it or who didn't buy it because they couldn't, but they wanted to buy it, was different as compared to what the definition of customer value for this particular product is now. So this was just showing show you an example of how value can change based on times, based on the type of product that's available, based on the external environment that there is at that specific time. So you can see over the course of years how cell phones have changed. So it started somewhere like this, the Motorola phone that we just saw, the brick phone, and then it got, the sizes got the sizes reduced up to a specific time, and then you can see the sizes got bigger and bigger again. Um, you can see that in the beginning, the screens used to be smaller and the keypad used to be bigger. The screens got bigger with time, like in general, and the keypads became smaller. So now we are at a point where there are no keypads. So that's how, again, customer value has changed. Um, it has changed because marketers have created new values. If there was no cell phone that was available without a keypad, our value would have been at the previous one that there was. Of course, these creations don't come from marketers' own minds. They come from the data that we collect from customers, and that's why we call it customer value. But in a way, by asking questions, by taking feedback from customers, current customers, indirectly or directly, the value is also created by marketers. So here's a depiction of how value is created. You can see that customers and marketers join hands and they both work towards providing new value to the customers. So how do they do that? How do the customers uh, provide or contribute towards the new value, or how do the marketers discover these new values, or as we say, consumer needs, the new needs that there are? So you can see the organization's marketing department here. They discover consumer needs. So they discover by asking consumers or by collecting feedback from consumers about their needs. Based on those needs, the concepts of products are developed by the marketing team. They come up with new ideas of how we can come up with a better version, either a better version of the same product or a completely new product that can satisfy these consumer needs that we have just collected the data for. Once we come up with concepts of products, we satisfy consumer needs by designing a marketing program that has the 4 Ps We're going to talk about 4Ps again, but these are the basics of marketing: product, price, place, and promotion. So these are the 4Ps: product, price, place, and promotion. So we design a marketing program that has these 4Ps in the right combination. Again, we're going to talk about this again. So we design these 4Ps, and then we come up with goods, services, and ideas that go to the market, the potential consumers. Once they use them, we collect information from these customers about the feedback on the products, existing products that they're using. And that's again how we discover consumer needs. So the cell phone graph that you saw, if you think about that, we can start from the bottom. We had that brick phone, went to the consumers, collected information from them, and said, okay, well, tell me what else do you think there should be in a cell phone? Let's say some people said, and we discovered consumer needs. Let's say some people said, it's very heavy. I can't fit it in my pocket. It should be, lightweight, or it should be lighter than how much it is now. It would be great if the screen is a little bigger, because then I can type and look, I can see better, for example. So we discover those consumer needs, come up with the concept for products with a new, better version of what they had, create these 4Ps, that is, create a new product, decide on a price for that product, create promotion, communicate that with consumers, and then decide on a place that you're going to deliver it at or make it available to the consumers. And then these goods, services, or ideas, whatever it is, we're talking about cell phone at this point, we deliver it to the consumers use it, and then it keeps repeating. We go back, collect information about their new needs, discover these, and we keep doing this in circles. So it's a process. Marketing is a process that never ends, because we keep on collecting data from consumers, and we keep on coming up with new concepts, product, and then design the 4Ps around the new concept, and then we keep going. So there's a difference between wants and needs that as marketers we should know. Consumers often call these as their needs, and we try to meet consumers' needs with new products. But as marketers, we should know that there's a difference between wants and needs. So needs are the ones that really are needed. For example, there's a need for food, but there's a want for a pizza, for example. So we should know that there's a difference between these two, so that when we make our marketing campaigns, we know what are we satisfying. Are we satisfying a need? I guess we are not these days anymore satisfying any needs. What we are satisfying is wants. But in a way, consumers see these things as their needs. So my child is going to say, oh, I need a cell phone. I need a new laptop. When they don't need it, he just wants it. And that's what, as marketers, we should understand, because at least we should know the difference before creating these new, in quotes, needs for consumers. So just something that we should know about. So as I had said before, there are these 4Ps: product, price, place, and promotion, that are called components of marketing mix. So the circle that you see here, pie that you see here, has these 4Ps, and it's called marketing mix. Why is it called marketing mix? because we have to make sure to mix these in the right way, or we have to create the right combination of price, of product price, place, and promotion. These four P's are also called controllable factors because we can control them and we need to focus on what we can control. So the product is ours, we can control it. We can make the product as we want it to be. The price is ours. We set the price for the product. We can control it. The promotion is ours. We promote the product. We communicate about the product to our customers so we can control it. And then place is where are the places that we're going to make our goods available to the consumers. And that's again something that we can control. We can control where we want to make our product available. And that's why these are called controllable factors, or these are also called internal factors, because these are internal to our organization that we can control, okay, that we can work on. We have to make sure that we create a mix, marketing mix, of these four P's in such a way that makes sense to the customers. So I see these four P's as four puzzle pieces that you can put together and they should fit together. Okay. I'm going to give you an example. For example, if you think about, let's say, Colgate, a very simple daily, day-to-day use product called Colgate toothpaste. So that's your product. Your product is Colgate toothpaste. You, let's say, place it, or the place that you decide that you're going to make it available at is going to be a gas station, it's going to be Walmart, it's going to be Kroger, it's going to be Dollar General, and whatever the neighborhood stores that there are. All of these places is where you're going to make this toothpaste available at. Now you decide to price it at $30. Again, of course, promotion is going to communicate all of these to the customers. So you're going to make promotions accordingly. I'm going to price it at $30. Think about it. Will that make sense? It won't, because you see Colgate at every other place and you've promoted it in a way that it's a daily use product or daily use brand, and you're saying it's for $30. It won't make any sense. It has to fit. The puzzle piece has to fit. Nobody is going to pay $30 for a toothpaste that's available in every other store and the brand name is Colgate. Okay. Think about a big brand name. Think about Rolex. Okay. The type of, I'm not going to talk about promotion. I'm going to keep the promotion same as they have so that you can relate, so that you understand what we're talking about. So if it's a brand name like Rolex, it's available only at select stores, okay? Not like Colgate that's available every other store, but it's only available at select stores. It is the brand that it is, and it's priced at $100. Again, would that make sense? If you're making a brand like Rolex, saying it's a luxury brand, it's only available at select stores and it is for $100. It will not make sense in consumers' minds. So again, the puzzle piece has to fit. And you can move this around for any brand that you can think of. Think about any brand and say that I'm going to change the price, I'm going to make it very low, or I'm going to change the place and I'm going to make it only at select stores and or all other stores, and I'm going to make it fit. Try to do that in your mind, and I think it will not fit. It has to fit together so that it makes sense, and that's why it's called marketing mix. We have to mix it in, or mix these four P's in such a way that they make sense in consumers' minds, that they fit together as 4 different puzzle pieces. Okay, moving on, we go to the uncontrollable factors. So there are 5 uncontrollable, as we call them, or environmental factors that are, let's start with economic environment. So this is the, just to quickly go through these, this is the economic environment that you can't help. It is the economy. It can be the economy of the world. It can be the economy of your nation. It can be of your country. It can be the local economy of where exactly you're located. It can go from as big as the entire nation to as small as the area your business is in. So that's the economic environment that you can't control. You can't help it. Your business is going to be um, existing in that economy. It can influence the economy, but it cannot control it. Okay, it can only influence it. Okay, the competitive environment, again, you can control it. What is competition doing? What are other organizations doing? What are their products? What are their prices? You can't control it. You can, again, influence it, but you cannot control it. Technological environment, again, you can control it. You have to go with the technology. For example, we looked at Barnes and Noble Nook. So there was a technological environment that impacted them, and they had to come up with a new product that they thought that will be successful. But that's something that they couldn't control. It was technological environment that was uncontrollable, and they tried to fit in a technological environment. So you can, again, influence it, but you can't control it. The next one is social and cultural environment. Social, what's going on around in the society, or what's the local culture. You cannot control it. You can only influence it. And then the last one is political and regulatory environment. Again, you can control it. What goes in politics? What are the rules and regulations? You can control it. You can only influence it. All right. So how did marketing become so important? So why are we talking about marketing and how did it become so important? So we're going to talk a little bit about the history of marketing, and there are 4 eras in the history of marketing. We'll go from this one here, that is production. It was called the production era of marketing. Not of marketing, but production era, which is prior to 1925, where the concept was that a good product will sell itself. So in the production era, because there were more consumers or more buyers than suppliers, there were only a limited number of suppliers. The suppliers thought if they make a good product, it's going to sell itself. They don't have to really work on selling the products because there were only a limited number of suppliers. Consumers needed the supply. So it was a supplier's market. So that was production era. It was the time when um, Henry Ford, their T model was a very big, success, Model T. And Henry Ford used to say that you can have any color car as long as it's black, which basically meant that we're going to sell you only black cars. You buy it if you want to buy it. If you don't want to buy it, move on. And that could happen only in the production era because suppliers had the power to do that because there were only a limited number of suppliers. Then the era changed to sales era, where the concept was that if we can come up with creative advertising and we can come up with creative selling techniques, we can convince consumers to buy. We don't have to do anything. We just make the products, create some creative advertising around it, try to convince buyers to buy the product, and they will buy them. Okay, that was the sales era. Next is the marketing era. came the marketing era, where the consumer is king was the concept. Find a need and fill it. So the difference between sales and marketing was that in sales, they would manufacture the product first. They would make the product and then they would say, okay, we can convince consumers to buy. But in marketing era, we start with find a need. So we first collect information from consumers, then come back and start creating that product for consumers. So we find a need and then fill it because consumer is the king, was the idea. Right now, we are in marketing plus customer relationship that you see here at the end, at the top. Right now, we are in marketing plus customer relationship era. So we realized that I had said before that this part was added in the AMA definition of marketing, which was the customer relationship part, because we realized that long-term relationships lead to success. So we want to find a need, we want to fill it, and we want to make sure that we maintain good relationship with the customers. Again, win-win for both businesses and customers, because if as marketers we are trying to maintain a good relationship with the customers, that means in the first place we have to give them a good product. We can't just stop at selling and then say, okay, we are done. Now you do whatever you want to do. We still want to go ahead and maintain the relationship with them, which means we're going to make sure to satisfy the needs of the consumers so that they come back to us. So these are the four eras in the marketing, in the history of marketing. So that's where it says any customer can have a car painted any color he wants as long as it's black. That's what Henry Ford had said in production era. Um, and yeah, and we have obviously moved on from there long, long back. Okay, so what can be marketed? So there are, if you think about it, um, there are businesses that can be marketed, right? The for-profit businesses, like here you see Apple. There are non-profit businesses like the Mississippi Children's Museum that can be marketed. In fact, we have done a project for them, a marketing project for them, so it can be marketed and they want to be marketing themselves. Then there are retail stores that can be marketed, like Walmart. The retail stores can be marketed. There are hotels, again, the services, as we call them, can be marketed. Hotels, restaurants, salons, all the services, those can be marketed. Celebrities, here, celebrities can be marketed. Politicians can be marketed. Places can be marketed. You can see Explore Colorado here. So places can be marketed. And ideas, as you can see here, can be marketed. Okay, so we have like a domestic violence idea, we have say plastic idea, all of these ideas you can think of, they can be marketed. We talked about these. We have 4 P's. We've already talked about these: product, price. Oh, let's go in order. Product, place, promotion, and price, as it says here. Product is anything of value to the customer, offered through a market exchange, of course. You're going to have some kind of exchange in the market. That's what a market is. There's going to be a location where the product or service is available. That's what we call place. And then there's going to be a communication about the product that you have created and about the value that you have created to the consumers, and that's called promotion. And then the price is the value, the exchange that you make with the customer, so that you can provide them with the product or the service, and you can get back in exchange for that product or service. So those are the 4 P's. These are, as I said before, elements or components of marketing mix. And then we have the 5 external environment, the competitive environment, We talked about that. There can be directly competitive products, for example, for mineral water, direct competition, or water or bottled water. The direct competition will be other products, or sorry, other companies that sell the same exact product, which is bottled water. Indirectly competitive products, bottled water, there can be other products that can satisfy the same need but are not the same product. For example, if you're thirsty, you can also go for a Coke or for a juice or whatever. So those are indirectly competitive products. So you have to look at the whole competition. If when you're looking at your competition, you have to look at your direct competition, and you also have to look at your indirect competition. That makes you the whole competitive environment. We talked about economic environment a little bit. Economic and environment can be made up of, if we just want to name a few, obviously income, the employment and the unemployment rate, and inflation. So again, all of these factors can impact your business. So you have to look at the economic environment. If you're going to start a business, if you're going to start your own business, or your own clinic, your own store in a specific area, you have to look at the economic environment and see if it's going to sustain or not. What all you'll have to do, or what kind of products or services can you offer in that specific economic environment. You also have to look at social cultural environment. It's also called social cultural environment. That is, you have to look at the society. You have to look at how do people behave in that society. What is the society made up of? You can see in these pictures, there can be some religious people, there can be non-religious people, there can be people who like music, for example. I'm just looking at those pictures and trying to make sense of the pictures. And there can be, music loving people. You can have some societies where there's farming going on. These are people who are, interested in farming, and those areas are filled up with that. So different kinds of societies made up of things that they do, made up of values that they have, made up of their opinions, their beliefs. All of that makes a social cultural environment. You have to look at the social cultural environment before you introduce uh, your business in that environment. You have to see whether it's going to sustain or not, whether people are going to like it or not, or what kind of products can you create, or what kind of customer value can you create in that specific social cultural environment. So even if we look at the different generations, and this is a report that I have pulled from McKinsey and Company, um, different generations also behave in different ways. So this is a study that was done by McKinsey and Company, and they compared different generations, baby boomers, Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z, with each other. They've given some context to why they behave differently. I'm not going to go through these. You can pause here and look at this if you want to. But my main idea was to show that because of different contexts, their behaviors are different. So if you look at baby boomers, there's idealism, revolutionary, collectivist. Okay, that's the behavior that they used to show. Versus, let's just directly go to Gen Z, undefined ID, communaholic, dialoguer, realistic. These are the behaviors. Again, because of the context here was post-war and dictatorship and repression in Brazil. And here the context was mobility and multiple realities, social networks, digital natives, and so on. So because of the different contexts that there are or there were, people's behavior are different, or generations' behavior are different. So because of their different behavior, the consumption is going to be different, right? Baby boomers' consumption was related to ideology, vinyl and movies, and Gen Z is uniqueness, unlimited, and ethical. So, so the generations have different consumption patterns, and of course, it impacts marketing, and we have to look at that. Then the technological environment. The technological environment keeps changing these days more rapidly than any other time in the past. And we have to be aware of that. We have to see how technology is changing and how it can impact our business. Um, because we just cannot ignore technology these days. And with AI, now that we have artificial intelligence, it of course becomes more and more important that we look at the technological environment before we enter into a new idea, into a new business. I have kept an Amazon Go example here. If you can go to YouTube and just check Amazon Go commercial, if you haven't, if you don't know what that is, I think it's very interesting to see how Amazon Go came up with this idea um, of, or used new technology to come up with this idea. And I think it's a brilliant idea. We should, if you haven't seen it, I would suggest you to go and look at any Amazon Go commercial on regulatory environment or the political and legal environment. Of course, we have to comply to whatever has been created by law and order, by the regulations put in place, which are obviously highly influenced by the political environment that there is. We have to comply to that. We have to follow the rules and regulations, and that's something that we have to look at, and that impacts our business. So we can't ignore that. We have to look at the regulatory environment. We can't change it. We cannot control it. But we need to make sure that we comply with it. That was about the 5 environmental forces. Now, the idea of social responsibility. We're going to talk about social responsibility and corporate social responsibility and ethics in marketing. Social responsibility basically is the idea that businesses or organizations, they're all part of a larger society. And it's our responsibility as businesses towards our society, benefit our society, um, because we are accountable to the society for our actions. And that's what this idea is. Coming to corporate social responsibility, there's this 4-step pyramid of corporate social responsibility. Starts with the bottom of the pyramid, which is economic, which means be profitable. So I know some people have problem with this. Some people say, well, how can you have the basis of an organization to be profitable? But if you think about it, this is what makes the foundation upon what everything else falls. So if you as a business are not profitable, you're not making good money, then everything else is going to fall down. You have to be profitable. You have to make money. You have to be able to survive. If you can't survive, then you don't have a business. If you don't have a business, you're not going to follow anything else. So it starts with being profitable. You have to be profitable. I know you have to also follow the rest of the things with that, and uh, they are equally important. But the if this bottom of the pyramid does not exist, then nothing else is going to exist. So it starts with being profitable, economic, which is being economic, goes on to legal, that is obey the law. We have to follow the rules and regulations, follow the law. And next step is to be ethical, which is you have to know what is right and wrong and fair, and you have to avoid harm to anybody. And the final step is philanthropic. That is, be a good corporate citizen, contribute resources to the community, improve quality of life. I'll also add provide value to customers. And all of those 4 points or 4 steps make the pyramid of corporate social responsibility. Last slide here is on ethical questions in marketing. So we have different questions that we need to ask ourselves. These are related to all the 4 P's that we talked about: product, price, place, and promotion. And then we've also added research, which is again the basis of marketing, is collecting data. and that involves research. That's why we put in research here as well. So you have to ask yourselves, these are the questions you have to ask yourselves whether we want to go with this or not. Do you want to go with deceptive packaging? So you introduced a new product in the market. Um, it has a deceptive packaging. It doesn't reflect on what's inside because packaging is a part of product if you think about it. So do you want to go with deceptive packaging or do you want to be truthful to what's inside? Okay. What can be an example of deceptive packaging? For example, there can be a bag full of chips. Okay, looks like a bag full of chips, but it only has 10% chips inside the bag, and everything else is, air that they have filled in. So it looks like it's a big bag, but inside there's only a few items of chips that there are. So deceptive packaging, do you want to go with that? Product claims that are not right. Again, what claims do you want to make? You have to ask yourselves. You might be in law, you might be following the rules and regulations, but is it ethical to make the claims that you are making, is what you have to think about. Going on to pricing, failure to disclose hidden costs. You want to do that? Do you want to hide the costs with the consumers? Again, a question that you need to ask yourselves. Predatory pricing. So you want to reduce the price of the product just because you want to invite customers towards you, and then you want to go with once you've invited them, once you have kind of um, you find the customers are stuck with you. Now you raise your prices. Do you want to do that? Is again an ethical question you need to ask yourselves. Place, forcing intermediary to carry a product. Place is about delivering your product or making your product available to the customers through different intermediaries is one of the ways to do that. And do you want to force an intermediary to carry a product? So this is applicable generally to big brands. For example, let's say P&G says, it's a big brand, has different brands, has um, uh, it has power. I would say it has power to say to, let's say, a gas station that we have introduced this new product. You're saying we don't have space for this product, which nobody knows about, this new brand. If you say no to carrying our product, we're going to not supply any of the other brands to you. So your shelves are going to be empty. So do you want to do that? Do you want to force an intermediary to carry a product? Refusal to locate in low income areas. Do you want to do that? Do you want to say, I don't want to be in a low income area because I'm not going to make money? Again, an ethical question you need to ask yourselves. Of course, there comes the economic environment. You have to see what kind of business you are. You can't be Rolex and see, okay, I'm going to go in a low income area. I'm Rolex. I'm still going to go there. It has to make sense, of course, um, with the type of product that you are or the type of brand you are. But again, an ethical question to ask yourself. Okay. Promotion, employing false or misleading information. It's similar to deceptive packaging or making product claims that are not good. So, do you want to do that? Do you want to provide some false or misleading information to the customers? And then using high pressure sales tactics. You want to do that? A lot of companies do that. I say that if they do that, if they use high pressure sales tactics, they are not following the marketing concept. They're still stuck in the sales era. They think that they have made something. If they can convince consumers to buy them, they're good. This is what I feel. I feel if they are using high pressure sales tactics, then they are still stuck in the sales era and they haven't moved on to the marketing era. So I would actually just remove them from the marketing list and say that they are not even following the marketing concept. But again, question for your own self, that do you want to do that? And targeting children through promotions, advertising to children. You can see in the aisles that there are some stuff put near the cash counters that are targeting children. I'm a victim of that, where the children are after the lives of their parents, like me. that they want to buy those products. Do you want to do that or not? Again, a question to ask yourselves. I'm not saying you should do that or you should not do that, but again, question that you need to ask yourselves. And then the final one is research, invasion of privacy. Do you want to collect information by invading people's privacy? And then selling personal information. If you have people's personal information, do you want to sell it to other customers? Again, a question to ask yourselves. And that completes our first subtopic of marketing, where we've kind of introduced the idea of marketing, the four P's, marketing mix elements, which are four P's, which are the controllable factors, and then the five uncontrollable external factors. And we also talked about social responsibility, corporate social responsibility, and some ethics that's involved in marketing.